If a tragedy allowed you to escape your past or change your future, would you take it? The Netflix series Bonfire of Destiny asks that very question. In 1897 Paris, a fire breaks out in a charity bazaar, trapping and ultimately killing a large amount of women. Now, the series is inspired by actual events that happened in France at a charity bazaar where a fire broke out. Now, some of the ensuing stuff that happens after that is probably just dramatization for the show itself. But it does raise an interesting question that if you did find yourself in a life that you weren't necessarily happy with and a tragedy ensued and you were presumed to be dead, do you take advantage of that? Do you continue on with your life? Do you tell the truth? Say, hey, nope, I'm not dead, I am alive, and go back to that miserable existence? Or do you go, I have the opportunity to be somebody new, to go somewhere new. I have a clean slate because as far as anybody knows, I'm dead. That's what some of the characters in this have to face. But there's also complications that go along with this. It's never just clean cut where, oh, you know what, guess what? Clean slate, I'm good to go, here we go. No, because there's familial ties, there's friendships, there's all of this that go in, and the series really plays up on that. And they also then interweave some mystery to it as well, because what started the fire, and then there's the political aspect and the political scheming that goes on, and amidst everything else that's happening culturally in Paris at that time. And you see people trying to rise to power, and you also have some anarchists that are wreaking havoc on the city as well because they don't like the way that the government is acting and how these people in power are abusing their power. And so you then have that clash going on as well. As you get to see cowardice and pride and greed in this, I mean, at points it could make your blood boil because it's so wrong. But then there are also points of genuineness and of heroism and just pure of heart that also redeems that. And so it's that's battle going on because you get to see the worst of humanity, but you also get to see the best as well. And as to be expected, as characters do make decisions, there are heartbreaking moments. You can't avoid that because, like I said, there are the familial relations and ties that go on, or even just the friendships. And as a decision is made, it affects other aspects of their life. There's a villain in this, and he is one bad guy. I mean, there is no rooting for him at all. I can't imagine anybody feeling sympathy or just like, yay, him. I like him. He's my favorite character. I mean, you dislike him from the word go. The moment you see him, you're like, no, you are just not a good person at all. And then we get to see that confirmed time and time and time again. There's one actor in this playing the character of Julian, and it was very distracting for me because he's playing the suitor to a young woman. The problem is that the young woman looks to be much older than him, and he looks to be about 15 with a taped-on mustache. It was really hard to take him seriously. Now, I know a lot of the times you see an older suitor wooing a younger woman. And depending on that age gap, that could be very disgusting and creepy. But this was just odd. It wasn't even creepy or like disgusting. It was just, dude, you are purporting to be this more mature, at least in age, not necessarily behavior, character, and yet you don't look the part at all. Now, that's not a knock on the actor himself. He can't help his age or how he looks. But I think maybe that's a cue to the casting that maybe they should have chosen somebody just a little bit older to close that age gap a little bit. Or not even to close the age gap, but to make him look more like a suitable suitor. Now, at times the show is overdramatic and has like some melodrama to it where it almost falls into the soap opera category. But for the most part, it kept me engaged. It kept me intrigued. There was enough mystery going on and enough urgency to the story, which kept me glued and kept me wanting to see more and more of it. I think if you're into period pieces, you'll get a good kick out of this. And like I said, there is enough mystery and intrigue interwoven throughout the drama to keep you invested and to keep you wanting to know more about what's going on and how it is all going to play out. And then ultimately, what is the fate of these women going to be? They've made some decisions, and how is that going to ultimately play out for them? Are they succeed? Are they going to be miserable? What's going on? I mean, did they make this sacrifice and this change all for naught to end up in a worse situation? Or do they actually get better and have a new resolution that they can be happy with? The series is 8 episodes long, and I would be shocked if they do a season 2. If they do go into season 2, though, I don't see how they could avoid being full-on soap opera at that point, because they wrapped everything up nicely. That it gave some conclusions, it gave some endings to stories, and they answered some mystery. They also gave us some closure with some of the characters, so that there's not really a need for to go further into a second season. And also a small point, I don't know if it's historically accurate, but I did find it somewhat interesting and a little disturbing, is that in the city center, on a platform, they have a giant guillotine just sitting there waiting, ready to go, as that constant reminder to everybody, should you step out of line, this is what awaits. There is sex, nudity, profanity, and violence. I give the Bonfire of Destiny 3.5 out of 5 couches. So would you take advantage of a tragedy if it allowed you to change your past or influence your future? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.